See that gray hair glistening? Oh my god. They are like sparkling like tinsel, man. Hello everyone and welcome back. Merry winter solstice. Good tidings. It has been so long since I have sat down and recorded for you guys. I've recorded a lot, but I haven't like sat down and recorded. And you'll see the recordings of the other stuff that I've filmed later on. Child, that is my water, not yours. You want to say hi? Hi. Oh, thank you. But yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've recorded, and I will definitely... You can lay under the tree, but you can't with the tree. Let me go ahead and record this on my phone for you guys. Recording for y'all. And then my child. Oh, baby, no, sir. No, sir. Caught mid-act. Baby. Don't lick your lips like this is the most enticing shit you've ever seen. Baby, stop. No, sir. So we just filmed my cat in the act of harming the Yule tree, right? I see you, bro. Oh man, this is gonna be a thing. Anyways, so as you guys, as a lot of y'all know, I've been gone for reasons. Exciting reasons. And my cat is so distracting. He's like pulling himself across the rug with his claws like you do. I've got a bunch of stuff coming. I do. I'm not going to really talk about it right now. I mean, some of y'all may know, ching, 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 ching. It's official. It's happened. It's done. Yeah, I'm going to do more updates about that later. I just didn't, I missed out on Samhain or Halloween, and I just really didn't want to miss out on Yule. I love this time of season, this time of year, fall to winter. So I didn't want to miss out. So I'll talk about everything else later. I'll talk about where I've been, all that jazz, all the wonderful goodness. Baby, go. He's very active this video. He's probably just pumped that I'm recording again. Did I say my name? Hello everyone, my name is Valentine. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you are a returnee. I'm sure y'all have missed this face. But basically, I just wanted to pop in and talk about one of my favorite holidays, Yule. I think that it has a very like magical, mystical vibe to it. Ghost stories and like hauntings happen around this time. The veil is still quite thin after Halloween, which a lot of people don't, talk about very much. If you've been here before, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna light my favorite Christmas candle or Yule candle. It literally says magical Christmas morning. That is adorable, but it is a Yankee candle, and it is their candle called Holiday Hearth or Hearth. I say hearth, but I've heard people say hearth. So yep, I love the way this candle smells. It reminds me of a smoky Christmas. Like it smells piney, fur-y, berry-y, almost like a little bit of a punch vibe going on. Claire, if you're watching this, I swear to God, I've been trimming my wicks because she gets on me. She's like, girl, I thought you were gonna die because you don't trim your wicks. I've been trimming my wicks. I didn't trim this one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not, but all my other candles I've been trimming, I promise. I'll set that right there. Basically, I always find it fascinating how much of Christmas and Christmas traditions are actually taken from pagan traditions. For me, as a practicing pagan witch, I absolutely adore being able to celebrate with my friends and family and know that I'm still able to put it towards my beliefs and my practices. I can use these things to create my own meanings with my own traditions and blah, blah, blah. Like these are just a couple. Like there's so freaking many, but a couple traditions that people typically use or do during Christmas season that were actually taken from pagan origins or they have like pagan roots. Some of them are just like straight jacked, you know, like they just like switch some names, but it's like 100% the same thing. But I'm only going to talk about a few because there's so many. I could go on forever, but I'm talking about some of like my favorite ones. And then I want to talk about what I do during the Yule season that I just want to bring out the magic in the holidays that we already have established because they're actually pretty magical holidays and people just don't realize it. Number one, I want to talk about the Yule log. I don't think in America, like maybe tell me if you guys bake Yule logs. I know my friend, a girl, Inkfall, like I know she made a Yule log and she's just like a badass. So she just like makes cool shit all the time. But I feel like it's more of like a European thing. I've never been to like a Christmas event and seen a Yule log, but I'm also in Texas. So we're like pies. You know what I mean? I feel like like Southern people are like really into pies and shit. Yule logs are Christmas cakes. They're basically like a light sponge cake that has a cream filled center and they roll it up into like a nice little Swiss roll looking thing. And then they cover it in chocolate and they make the chocolate icing look like bark and they decorate it with like holly. Holly is typically the plant au choice for Christmas. Always wanted to make a Yule log because they look delicious. It just looks yummy, right? Like it looks delicious. Is actually based off of a long-standing pagan tradition of having a log of wood called the Yule log that they would find a hardy log because this log was supposed to keep their hearth lit during the entire Yuletide season. So Yule is actually more than one day. Yule is 12 days, the 12 days of Yule, which is also like the 12 days of Christmas. Oh, that's where they got that from. Which starts on Mother's Night, which is the eve of the winter solstice. So the 20th of December. The 20th of December, and it ends on January 1st. So the 12 days of Yule. So they would light that log during the entire 12 days. There's other reasons that they would light the young log that I'll get into in a little bit, but basically they would decorate the log with like, you know, plants for protection, plants for abundance and wealth, good health, everything that they would want to bring into their home, they would decorate the log. It was also in honor of a certain deity and also to kind of appease some deities. But that was symbol of the sun being reborn. That's what Yule is all about. The winter solstice is the longest night of the year, and it's seen that slowly the sun is kind of like regaining his energy. The sun's return to the earth, bringing in warmth, comfort, vitality, life, abundance, all of that jazz back into your home. So you're basically bringing that in to your new year. They would save a bit of the Yule log and use that to light the following year's Yule log. And it's kind of like bringing in that good luck and that prosperous crop into the coming year. So next, hanging Christmas ornaments. A lot of these traditions actually are based from the Roman festival of Saturnalia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Probably not. And what that is a festival honoring the god Saturn. So the Romans worshipped the god Saturn. He was seen as like kind of like the father of time. He was in charge of time. He was in charge of wealth and prosperity. That's what he governed. But a huge one during the winter season was he governed agriculture. So the Romans would hold this huge festival in honor of Saturn. Also, I know Apollo and other like sun gods are definitely represented. Ra, even like in Egypt. A lot of the winter, Yule, solstice, Saturnalia, all these festivals around Christmas time were to represent the rebirth of the sun. But yeah, I'm just specifically talking about the Roman one right now. So Saturnalia, a lot of these traditions are taken from Saturnalia, but this one in particular, hanging Christmas ornaments. They didn't have a tree indoors. Romans did not have indoor trees. They might have taken a sprig of something and brought it indoors. They did, however, decorate trees outside of the home. So if there was like a tree next to your house, they would decorate that tree with orbs representing Saturn. They would also, sometimes certain families had patron deities that would kind of like a deity that the whole household kind of like worshipped or honored, and they would do so by hanging ornaments on their trees outside. Believed to be where Christmas ornaments have originated from. Number 3, hiding coins or hiding the baby Jesus in a cake, or called a king's cake. A lot of people know this cake from Mardi Gras or like Epiphany, hiding of the plastic baby Jesus in the cake. It's said that, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, a lot of people do this. I've been to parties where they've done this, but basically it's like you have a cake and the person baking the cake hides a baby Jesus inside the cake. I've never found the baby Jesus. I was never that lucky. Basically, you cut into the cake, and whoever gets the cake slice that has the baby in it is then dubbed like the king for the day, or like the queen for the day, and it's supposed to be like good luck. I do know that is heavily used in Mardi Gras. Believe the plastic baby Jesus was introduced in Louisiana. I know that was like a Mardi Gras thing. Before that, it actually originated from France, and they would put coins or a small bean inside the cake. And so it was like whoever got the bean or the coin, I believe it was to represent the 3 wise men. That's why they called it like the king's cake, the 3 kings. The actual origins are, of course, pagan in nature. It also came from Saturnalia. In Rome, they would have this cake for Saturnalia, honoring Saturn, the god Saturn. They would hide a coin inside of this cake. And, the Romans, they were pretty uptight. They were pretty straight-laced. Like, they were organized, methodical, kind of like type A people, right? They believed in rule and justice. They implemented all of that into their society, a very structured society. During festivals and stuff, they would kind of let loose, which was different for the Romans, to bring joy and fun to Saturnalia and kind of entertain their god Saturn. They would hide this coin in the cake, and whoever found the coin in that family, in that household, it was usually shared amongst a household, and it was usually the kids that would get like to find the coin. It wasn't usually the head of the household, it was usually the children. Whoever found the coin, that is how they would determine a mock king in their household, called the Saturnalicious Princeps, or leader of Saturnalia, or more commonly known as the Lord of Misrule. So the Lord of Misrule, basically, you get dubbed the prankster of the family during the winter solstice, during the Yule tide season. So it was up to whoever found that little coin, they got to be the Lord of Misrule. But whoever got to be the Lord of Misrule, that meant that they were in charge of mischief and pranks, like light mischief and pranks during the winter season. And it was kind of seen as like a fun way, like kids would look forward to finding this coin because it was such a, straight-laced, orderly kind of city. So they got to act up and be fun and have fun, little mischief, little pranks here and there. And also interesting, insult guests. That was apparently very funny. It's very entertaining. Another tradition that I want to talk about, or another element to Christmas that I want to talk about. I know you guys are going to see me coming with this one, and that is Santa Claus. A magical, mythical creature that comes through your chimney at night, eating cookies and milk and leaving presents for the good children and coal for the naughty children. Magical, mystical creatures who sneak down your hearth at night and deliver gifts and treats to the children deserving is not a new concept. That is actually found in a lot of different cultures. To name a big one, be Odin and the Wild Hunt. So that is like a fascinating concept to me. Super interesting. Basically, Odin, he's like the the big guy. You know what I mean? Like he's an intense god. Like that's a strong deity. Essentially, the Wild Hunt is a parade of ghostly riders. They would sweep through the skies at night during the winter season. It was harsh winters, harsh winds. They felt like Odin and the Wild Hunt whipping on through is what caused these gusts of wind, these harsh winds. They could damage crops, they could damage your home. If you were caught out in the middle of the Wild Hunt, it was said that they would pick you up and carry you for miles and drop you far from your home, and you'd have to wander home in the cold, confused and disoriented. Some people would die out in the cold. So it was not a scary thing, but it was used to scare people into staying indoors, if that makes sense. It was a thing to be respected and feared in the sense of like reverence, not in the sense of like Odin's gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he's evil. It wasn't like the Wild Hunt was evil. It was more of just like stay indoors during this time and make sure that you leave out grains or grass, veg, carrots, apples, whatever you can for the horses that are going to be carrying the riders and Odin's steed, who, by the way, had 8 legs, which is believed to be the origins of the 8 reindeer that leads Santa on his sleigh. Odin was being led by his steed who had 8 legs. And so you would leave out, veg and fruit or veg and grain for his horse, his steed, or the other riders' horses. That way they didn't f up your crops, because if they were hungry and you didn't leave anything out, they'd eat all your shit, which is where some people believe that is where leaving out veg for Santa's reindeer came from. And then, milk and cookies. People would leave out milk, bread, and ale for the riders and specifically for Odin to appease and honor him, that while he's out doing his, wild hunt thing, he might need to get something to eat, and instead of f up your house because you didn't honor him, he would be grateful and appeased. So that's just one of the figures that is seen as kind of like a Santa Claus-y figure. Another one that is a woman that I'm really excited to talk about is Frau Perchta or Frau Berchta or Frau Holda. She's got a million names. No shit. She really does. She has a million names because she's in a lot of different cultures. She's kind of like the embodiment of, Saint Nick and the Krampus. She's kind of like both of them. She was a goddess, or she is a goddess. It's just for some reason she's slowly been demoted throughout the years from a goddess to a demigod to a magical mythical creature to now she's kind of seen as a witch. She's also seen as a leader of the Wild Hunt, which is go you, Frau Perchta! That's fucking cool. What a badass bitch. When it came to the Wild Hunt specifically, there's a lot of accounts of her as being an old hag, being carried on her sleigh, surrounded by the souls of dead children. Some metal and shit. She was flanked by a procession of children's dead souls. She passed over homes, and if you had the ashes from the Yule log, she would bless your home. Another thing with Frau Perchta is she was super anti-lazy bitch. She was if you don't do your shit on time, then I'm gonna punish y'all, especially women. She seemed to be harsher towards women, but she would punish boys as well. You better get your shit done, children, you know what I mean? Or else Frau Perchta is gonna come and discipline you. So that was the thing, is she was kind of she was known as a two-faced goddess or a shape-shifting goddess. So she kind of had 2 aspects to her. If you were good, you would see the beautiful Frau Perchta or Frau Holda. Her name can translate to the shining one or the bright one. She's very fair, as white as snow, not just a light person, just as white as snow, absent of color. So she was very bright. Her hair was blonde and sparkling because she's kind of like the embodiment of snow. So if you were good with your chores and you weren't lazy, she would come in and she would bless you and she would give you a gift, a gift of abundance. Other variations of her name can mean not necessarily the bright one or the shining one. It can mean the two-faced one. It can mean the hidden one. There's a lot of different iterations of her being found all over the place. And in some of them, they included like Frau Perchta with the strange foot or Frau Holda with the strange foot. What they would do in mythology commonly is if someone had the ability to shapeshift, it would be like a mark on their body. And so Frau Perchta had a strange foot associated with geese. So she'd have like a goose foot or a swan foot. Other versions, she was literally like two-faced. On one side was like a very evil hag. And then in some iterations, she would either be the white one or she would come as like a scary, hairy beast creature thing that would punish you. Now I feel like the more common association with her is if she's going to punish you, she looks like a witch, like a very haggard, scary witch. And she'll come in and she'll discipline the lazy, naughty children. By discipline, I mean something much worse than what I was originally thinking when I heard discipline, because Santa gives us fucking coal, man. Like, that's not nearly as bad as what some of the things Frau Perchta would do, like sneaking into your home and seeing you curled up in your warm, cozy little bed. She would crawl in there, not crawl, she would walk in there or like haggardly, whatever, jaunt in there, and rip the sheet off of you while you were passed out fucking cold, lift up your shirt, grab a knife, and slice your belly open. And she would remove your stomach and your intestines and replace it with hay and stuff you with rocks to weigh you down and sew you up. So there's that. So I think you should get your shit done when you're supposed to. And I mean, if that doesn't scare a child into doing their chores, I don't know what. Like if the whole family is like, she's gonna slit your belly open and stuff you with straw, I mean, that would put a fire under my ass, that's for sure. Anyways, as you can see, she shares a lot of elements with another magical mythical creature that is known for disciplining children and or gifting them. And that would be the dynamic duo of Saint Nick and the Krampus. Saint Nick and the Krampus share a lot of elements with Frau Perchta. You could see Saint Nick as her bright one, shining one, and the Krampus as her hidden one or haggard form or creature form. I feel like everybody knows about the Krampus, but not a lot of people know about her and her association with the White Hunt. So that's just a little bit on the topic of the magical creatures that can either fill up your stockings with wonderful gifts or gut you while you're sleeping. I'm going to talk about my traditions and what I want to do or what I will be doing for Yule myself personally. These are the traditions that I have built over the years, and I definitely plan on expanding them, especially now that my husband is a part of my family. We're going to try to develop our own special traditions that are representative of us and unique to us. He's not a pagan in any capacity. He's not spiritual in any capacity. If anything, I'd say he's agnostic, leaning towards atheist. Like, he's just not really interested in anything that isn't like science. He still really respects me and my witchy ways, which is amazing and is something that I am abundantly grateful. He's not just like supportive, like he encourages it. If I'm not doing so well, if I'm like being a lazy pagan, he'll remind me and be like, hey, like, do you want to do something like to do blah, 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 or like to honor A, B, and C? I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Obviously I was slacking and you got onto that. He and I have been together for almost 4 years now, so he's actually been a part of some of these traditions already, and I just thought that maybe you guys would find it interesting or inspirational. Is that the right word? That makes me sound way too cool. Just like to inspire you to make your own traditions. I'm not over here like, I'm fucking inspirational. Number one Yule wassail. I am a huge fan of wassail. If you don't know what wassail is, it's basically a mulled cider, a mulled ale, or a mulled wine. Mulled, M-U-L-L-E-D, meaning spiced. So like a spiced cider, a spiced ale, a spiced wine. Heavily spiced. The spices synonymous with winter. So think like nutmeg, clove, cinnamon, ginger, all the warming spices. Again, has to do with the sun's return. Also to stave off illness, keep illness at bay, and to warm you up during the cold season. The name wassail is actually believed to be Nordic in origin, and it means to good health or drink good health. So you're basically, wishing that person well if you gift someone wassail. For me, I hold wassail pretty close to my heart. I come from like a super, super small German town, and they actually have a festival for wassail. My dad had a lot to do with the creation of that festival. It's kind of like a childhood treasure, a childhood gem of mine. It just kind of adds more magic to that tradition for me. Probably one of my most loved traditions now, because nothing gets me feeling witchier than like brewing a magical mystical potion in my kitchen. I get to practice a lot of kitchen witchery during this time. Every stir has an intent, every number of stirs has an intent, every number of ingredients, herbs, spices, fruits. I pour a lot into this brew every year. Cinnamon stick, something comfy and cozy. Literally nothing is more comforting and more cozy inducing. That's not real words. It doubles as like a simmer pot as well. Also, I should say that I tend to make my wassail on Mother's Night, which is the eve of the winter solstice. So that would be December 20th. That way I have it on the 21st. Number 2, the Yule log. The Yule log. So in past years, I would have a natural log and I would decorate this log. I would drill a hole in it and, put a candle in it. I didn't have a safe way to burn it. I do have a safe way to burn it now. I've never lit a fire in this fireplace. And I think I was talking to someone and they said that we needed to have it inspected to make sure that there's nothing like clogging. I don't know. I don't know anything about fireplaces, but somebody told me that I had to have like an inspector to make sure that it's like, chill before I light a fire, which makes sense. Like that seems safe. Modern pagans have definitely taken this and they go a little bit harder with decorating their Yule logs than they probably did in the past. Commonly, people will decorate their Yule logs with like fruits and nuts. I know they did that in the past as well, but I feel like the garland editions, like modern pagans are a bit more extravagant. We have more resources, right? So what you do is you get the Yule log and you burn that. You burn that shit. I don't do that. So I would get a log and I would decorate it. And sometimes I would drill like a hole for a candle. And then I thought, it's a lot of work and like the bark would get everywhere. This makes me sound like a lazy pagan. I am a lazy pagan. I saw that they had like ceramic versions from like the 70s on eBay and Etsy or like antique stores. And I ended up finding one. I thought it was really pretty. It has like this iridescent kind of sheen on it. And what I do is I decorate it still just the way I would a natural log. I'll adorn it with like seeds and nuts and like orange slices, apple slices. Apples are seen as extremely magical fruit, especially towards ancestral work or deity work, depending on your deity. And just adorn it with lush, lavish, natural elements to bring forth what you want into the new year. It's basically like a home blessing, a hearth blessing. I'm probably going to get some special oils and dress my candles with the oils and the herbs and light the candles throughout each day of the 12 days of Yule. Number 3, house cleansing and tree blessing. So basically, I view Christmas trees as a giant personification of what it is that I want to bring in. So last year, I used orange slices as like a sun return, wealth, growth, prosperity. I used baby's breath for purity and love and inspiration. Also as like, removing any toxic energies. That's what I did. This year, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently. I'm going to be doing like a cranberry garland and orange slices again because I really like the natural decor for the trees. But I am also potentially looking at some gold ornaments. I want to bring in wealth and creativity. Creativity is probably like my biggest one, and wealth. We just had a wedding, right? So like, let's bring in some fucking cash. I also, every Sabbath, your ghoul is cleaning. She is cleaning hard because I just really like removing stagnant energy. I feel like stagnant air, stagnant energy can hold some shit, and you just need to get it out of your house. A quick house cleanse, like actual cleaning, and then an actual cleanse. I try not to do smoke cleansing because of my cat. He does have asthma, and then on top of that, it's just not good for animals to be inhaling all of that smoke. I try to stick to sound. You can, even if you don't have a bell, you can just anything. I like to encourage sound. So after I do a cleanse, I will go through corners with my bell that I have, and then I erect the tree, bringing in what I want to bring in, and then I finish everything off with like a closing statement of putting the tree topper on the tree. And this year is my first year with a tree topper, so that's a new element that I'm going to be adding in. It's kind of seen as the cherry on the cake. Here are some things that I would like to add to my traditions. Number one, I would like to bake more. I would definitely like to bake more. I already really enjoyed baking. It's just over the years I kind of didn't have tools to bake, and now after my wedding I do. And my husband he is like super into cookies, and so am I, and I feel like the perfect Yule cookie is like a ginger cookie, and he absolutely loves snickerdoodles, which is full of cinnamon. I think implementing a annual Yule cookie baking thing. Growing up, my mom would bake cookies every year with my Hispanic side of the family. Sometimes my white side would join in too, and so it was like all the women from both sides would come together and come to our house, and we would all cook, or bake, I should say. Another thing I would like to implement more is more divination practices, more working with, like path working, journey working, stuff like that. And then lastly, I would like to start incorporating a Yule feast, and by feast I mean dinner. Just me and Honey Buns and Mama Moon and Kitty Weeno. Like, we don't need a feast, but I enjoy calling it a feast. Or I can either like invite friends over, or I don't know. Also, maybe leaving out an offering for, Odin and the Wild Hunt, or maybe Frau Perchta. That way she's like happy and chill with me and she doesn't cut my belly open. And if, they don't visit me, then maybe just the house spirits in general, like a brownie or something, can like enjoy a nice little cozy treat. I would absolutely love to know what you guys do for Christmas or for Yule. I don't care what your spirituality or background is. I welcome and honor all of you guys. So I would love to hear what it is that you or your family do every year to celebrate the winter season. Leave it in the comments down below. I'll be there. I'll be responding to you guys. I missed you guys so much. I genuinely did. I genuinely missed talking to y'all. I genuinely missed filming. I missed editing even, which was crazy. And yeah, it's been a crazy couple months, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. I hope that this was comfy and cozy and the perfect end to your evening, start to your morning, or maybe it was a midday pick-me-up. Whatever it was, I hope that your winter season is merry and bright and full of Yuletide blessings, you guys. Have a good night, guys. Bye!